Good morning. Here is the disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video is financial advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial product. All content is for informational purposes only based on personal opinions and experiences. Trading futures, options, and other financial instruments involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for every investor. You can lose more than your initial investment, so always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial professional. Okay. News today. We've got durable goods at 8:30. That's coming up in like just under an hour. We've got S&P Case-Shillers, CB Consumer Confidence at 10, and then Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index at 10:30. So, not the worst today. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Yesterday was Memorial Day, so we did have an RTH session. As you can see, it was very small. It was because it was basically just the European session. Everything else was pretty much closed. So yeah, very tight. Basically 2 rotations on the whole day. Yeah, and we closed literally on top of Friday's settle. So, yeah, that was the day. Some people I know get rid of them. I don't, because I'll at least use it for stats. Like the yesterday's highs, yesterday's VPOCs, those kinds of things that I track. And so I'll use it for that, but sometimes they become, sometimes they're just not needed. So that's why some people get rid of them. Just take them off their profile, their charts, I mean. Like, I could just delete it. But anyway, going to the pre-market sheet. No one time framing so far, or no one time framing yet this week, on the weekly or on the daily. We're opening in a balanced condition, obviously. Even if we're in a gap, if we break yesterday's low, it's not really, the most authentic gap because, this day kind of doesn't count for some people, right? So, not too much of significance if that does happen. But just because we are kind of at the lows, it could happen, obviously. So the trend we've been now making is sort of overlapping, bringing value down. Like, we sort of checked higher, failed, checked lower, consolidated, checked lower again. So we're sort of on this trend lower. If I get out my pen. Okay. You can kind of see it, right? Like, overall, in my eyes at least, still balanced. But now, since we haven't been able to reclaim anything on the high side, we're more sort of balancing to the downside, until obviously we break. There was no gap yesterday. This is still the swing high I'm using. Still weak. This day was alright, but this day was sort of more important in this case, just not for the stats. Like, this is a good high, this is a good low, so that's sort of the range you're working with. And so, yeah, I basically am just using Friday's high and low for that judgment because this day is so tight anyway. So, yeah, good high, good low. Neither of them are weak. They're both nice excesses. We're moving away from the last major swing. Like I said, we're shifting down with overlapping value. We had a normal variation day yesterday. This day we had a neutral day. This Friday we had a normal variation day. yeah, and then for key levels, we've got prior settle above us. We've got yesterday's high, prior high, overnight high. And then we've got the MC VPOC up here, and 5-day VPOC lines up with settle there. And then on the low side, we've got the yesterday's low and then Friday's low as well, which is all the way down here. And then we've got singles in between from the TPO. These are singles just below yesterday's low, basically, they start below here. And then overnight low. And yeah, that's the main stuff. So if we go back to the TPO now, I kind of went through it a bit already, but like I said, you've sort of been doing this, right? Which I drew before. But I will say this is a good low. Like, not the best extension from day to day, but this is a good low. You can see, like, from the composite here, it's pretty good. It looks pretty nice. And then obviously this day we sort of just checked and moved away. So that was a good rejection as well. And so if that's good enough for the market, on the low side, we could do something like this where we pull back and close up the singles. And then sort of in this area, potentially, in this area, bounce to continue for higher. So that definitely could be a possibility in my eyes today. I'm leaning a bit off the short side now for some reason. Or not, I'm not leaning off the short side, I should say, but sellers, they've had a few good days to at least try to do something. And every day, with the gap blowers, and every day you've opened and you've moved back higher, right? So we're still being pulled in this area, which just tells me there's not a ton of initiative to continue for lower for this, right? Or else we'd be there by now, right? So that's just not yet, and that could change at any moment, as soon as we break this low, it sort of restarts. But that's sort of just how I'm seeing it today. And because this is still sort of balanced overall, we could still see a reversion higher that tries to check the high and could just put in another lower high that then continues lower for that. Like, it doesn't have to do it this week. It doesn't have to do it, it can do it whenever. So, yeah. So that's definitely a clear possibility for me. It's a good pocket of singles as well. If we can't really hold, like, this is sort of the line in the sand, this little pocket of volume here for the move, and I put it there just because, like, well, there's decent volume there, and so anything below there, and it's pretty much no volume, pretty much nothing, and so unless it's just quickly rejected again, like these two times, if we get back into here and we stay, we're gonna start, filling in volume and start trading. And so we could just get into a slow grind or potentially even accelerate if there's just not a lot of people here into this move down to the 59.45 area. So I'm still open to the short side. It's just sort of got to show me a bit more at this point. I want to see this sort of 70 zone broken through, as well as the singles fully cleaned up. Yeah, so that would be, and then we could have just the sort of push higher as well. That just gets above settle early. We are moving lower right now, though, so it's kind of hard to say. Potentially, we could even, open down here and just move higher back to above settle. So that's definitely, if that happens, that looks better, at least. But yeah, so those are the main, those are the general scenarios at least. And if we get back above settle, and if we're holding above settle, it looks good at least for a test of these highs. to check. Like if you're maintaining this, then it looks good to continue higher, and then you get into sort of MC VPOC area, which could end up sort of getting choppy. If we do continue higher today and we actually go into a bit of discovery higher, that would be the push I wanted to see. Like we've got 5-day VPOC here and we've got the MC VPOC right here. So I'd like to see it push through both of them. So if you push through settle and then push through this, that looks good. But if we're just, not respecting it, it could very easily become choppy and messy. So we want to watch out for that on any price discovery to the high side. On the low side, you don't really have that issue because we haven't been here in a while. And like I said, anything below this sort of area here, the 6970 or 6070, sorry, there's really not that much volume from recently, the past, 2 weeks or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty good. We do have a good overnight VPOC today, and which we are pretty much moving away from right now. So this looks good, right? Like you just moved away from overnight VPOC. If you can extend overnight and you start, getting into the singles, we could open near the bottom of the singles and then make our way up to clean them up potentially. That would sort of accomplish the same things, all the same things. Like you'd be getting the pullback still to the low side, it'd just be doing it in the overnight. So it's basically the exact same idea. But yeah, you've got a good overnight VPOC, so it sort of lines up with the 5-day. We've got... Wait, what? I thought the 5-day was close to settle. Maybe it was just the perspective. Or is it different? Oh, yeah, it is different. Oh, yeah, because this is, the 30-minute one is the 7-day, I think. Yeah, it's 7-day. But anyway, so you've got the 5-day VPOC down here. Down here. And then you've got the MC VPOC where the 7-day VPOC is. So, yeah, like... It's kind of hard if you're going to the high side because you're getting into a lot of balance, but like a break through this gets tricky because then there's 5-day and then MC, so you can't really go long at overnight and not expect chop. But, if we get a nice pullback that holds this overnight VPOC, it looks good for continuation lower, whether we get it in the overnight or the RTH. So yeah, like not super significant, but could potentially be important. But we're getting a good push lower now, so we'll see if we can extend overnight low. We are in a gap lower now, so we will have the gap reversion and gap stats in play if this stays the same. So let's get to drawing. So MC VPOC's pretty much the highest we need. That's already above yesterday's high. And then on the low side, I wouldn't be able to have that in. So really, I'll just keep to yesterday's low. 60.25. Or prior day's low. Okay, why do we look like this, though? 60.25. There, that's fine. Okay, so we've got... Alright, let me give myself a bit more room. So we've got yesterday's low here, Friday's low. We've got singles that finish at about 60.82. Like around here. Singles. End. And then we've got overnight low. Overnight low. Yesterday's low. settle, overnight high, MC. So that's prior high, settle, yesterday's low, overnight low, singles, and prior low. That's Friday's low. So like I said, with our short scenario, actually let's put that 6069. Whoops. This is the volume area. Actually, I won't put it in. It's pretty much right at the singles. Whoops. So yeah, so for our bearish scenario, you're below settle right now, and so that looks good. Below full session VWAP, full session DGPs. You push through overnight VPOC on there. So yeah, if you're staying below full session DGPs there and settle right now, this looks good for a continuation lower to close up the singles, at least to close up the singles. On a bigger play, it would be to test yesterday's low and extend this sort of micro composite range and continue lower down to the key stock zone, which is sort of the over-under for the broader micro composite or maybe composite range. Probably still be a micro, but anyway, yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. So for a bearish scenario, like I said, if you're below settle, that looks pretty good alone. Getting overnight low will be a good sign, because once you break it, you're closing up a lot of these singles, and then singles end around here, and you get into that volume area. So if you don't get support in this area, then it looks good for continuation lower for at least yesterday's low, which, like I just said, could continue down into the key stock zone. So this, because it was rejected twice, will be a support area, and then obviously the close of the singles in that volume HVN, that small HVN we had from the other day, will also be a key support area and potentially overnight low. Whoops. Overnight low, or actually I'll do it. I won't draw overnight low, but I'm going to do this. So this one, like I said, could be a key scenario where we pull back, get support, continue, break back into overnight range. And if we can continue through overnight range, then you get into the full session DGP settle area, like I said. And if you can break above that, it looks good for yesterday's high and a check of MC VPOC. Yeah, if you're staying above settle and if we revert. And on the high side, as a sort of bigger objective, it would be just get into this MC. And like I said, if you can break through, it looks good for a test of the swing high area. But you want to be able to get through. Like, buyers have a lot of work to do before they sort of do anything significant on a bit of a higher time frame. Like, really, if buyers push up from here, 50, 60, 70 ticks, you're still just in balance pretty much. So yeah, so this prior high, definitely key resistance, as well as all sort of the value metrics here, where we could sort of chop around and get balanced. And obviously the clean bullish scenario would do this, but it would just push off rip, right? Without the pullback, we could just get the same thing. that pushes higher, sort of right off the start of the morning. Yeah, so there's the plan. I think I went a bit long today. 20 minutes, not bad. I was rambling a bit, but yeah, so here's the plan. I didn't drop, but main thing to watch out for, or an important thing to watch out for, is if we're balancing. Like, there's a lot of value metrics in this area, and so if DGPs aren't being respected and we're just trading through them and there's no real follow through, then that's an early indication that you're just in balance, to me at least. And so, and if we are directional, like I said, if we're getting below this area, it looks good for shorts. And settle in full session DGPs. Here will be a good indication, as well as this sort of area here. And then we've got Friday's high and low. So those will be good. Those will be important as well because they are both good excesses. So yeah, so there's the plan. I will end this here and be back for my end of day if I have any trades. So I will see you then.